Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1977, 1970. I'm not talking about 1970 to 73 card set analysis, and we are going to wrap up the box tonight and move on to the 1973 next time. We have the last two divisions to look at. There's 72 keepers and rookies. Let's start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They traded for Daryl Knowles in the offseason. One of many good cards they have. It's good to have a flexible player like Knowles where you can choose many different years. Popovich, useful switch hitting middle infielder guy, not much stick here. Though, he could be your utility player, 20th player on the roster, free agent token round player. That's all they have as far as keepers. Let's take now the rookies. They don't have any rookies because Casanova, Herman, and Dalton Jones, all these guys are already in the league. So, no rookies for Arizona, surprisingly. But they did make some nice trades to acquire ready-to-go talent, and they can improve guys already on the roster as another option. Colorado Rockies. Very good 2 years ago. Last year they slumped. Dick Drago. Fine card. He's going to pitch on 3 days rest with this one. 3 ERA with 239 innings. Andy Costco. You see this power we've been talking about when we mentioned Costco and the trade. Boy, this is actually a lot of home runs against righties, isn't it? But the 73 card is even better, so that's the one that will be taken. But this would be a fallback option. Monday. Okay, so his defense, yeah, he's definitely rangy with the arm, can still steal bases, can run the bases, on base power, decent against lefties, but he doesn't have power. An option, but you hope he's better than that because he's one of your core players. Ron Reed. Now, Ron Reed, as a starting pitcher, would find more success in the bullpen later on with the Phillies and Chi Sox, but he's pretty much a lifetime Colorado Rocky player. He'll pitch on 3 days rest, and for that reason alone, that card might be selected. And when we look at their rookies, we have Bill Grief. Not much going on with him. He needs more work, more time to figure it out. Rusty Torres, a nice rangy outfielder. No center field, that's a shame. He normally can play center when he does. Known for defense more than stick, as you can see. Probably not. And that's it. So far, these two expansion teams don't have a lot in the farm system, as expected. They get the scraps left over by the traditional Major League Baseball teams. Vegas won the division last year, and their strategy of improving was to improve the guys they already had. Then Ray Culp, we've seen a couple nice cards for him. Yeah, he's starting to lose it here. Kubiak, sort of like the Popovich card you saw. Switch hitting, multi-position player with very limited stick. Okay at best. Blue Moon Odom. Is this better than the last card we saw for him? 251 and a 15-game winner for a World Series winner. It is better, and it's better against righties. Interestingly enough, I think the ERA looks more attractive than the overall number of walks. See the walks and strikeouts here? So when you look more carefully at the card, he's okay. 15 and 6, 251 is a best case scenario, really. And on an expansion team, he could struggle. But again, it's his best card, so they'll probably take that one. And when we look at their rookies, if there's any, we have, here we go, Oscar Brown. Not much going on with him. Paul Jeta. The Jeta rocket doesn't quite launch here. 242 hitter, something like that. 230 hitter. Mark Schaefer, a lefty, always looking to get left-handed pitchers in the league if possible. And that's, oh boy, oh, he's just killing me. Still need a little more than that guy. That's also an opportunistic area, 461, when you look at getting on in all three columns for a pitcher, is usually a warning sign to stay away. A very young Milt Wilcox. Now, he's actually pretty good. A starter relief. I'd rather see him in the bullpen. Yeah, that's a nice great long man, and yeah, you could make him your number 3 or 4 starter for an expansion team. Interesting collection of guys thus far. I've not been blown away by any of these teams, but again, this is your weakest division, the expansion division. And again, one of these teams will go to the playoffs every year. Portland, team 32 or 31. We've been looking at Belanger cards throughout the process here. He was a 1 last year, and I just don't want him to be a 2 if you're not going to hit. No, not this one. Nelly Briles, this is a pretty good card. He's got at least one other good card in this timeline. Oh, I wish he would pitch on 3 days rest. He just falls short. But this is a fine card. If you can't find, this would get into the league, but I think a better card of Nelson's would get to the league. Jerry Kennedy has really lost his versatility. No longer an outfielder. And the stick's not there either. And Rich Reese. By now, they traded for him as a 322 hitter, and it's just going the wrong way since. And he's down to 218. He's lost 100 points on his batting average from 1969. Still a decent fielding first baseman. Oddly enough, this could work in a platoon. A bad platoon, but it could work. And let's take a peek at the Portland rookies. Mike Anderson. Oh, shame. He was known more for his defense than his offense. But he doesn't have defense here. He does have on-base percentage, though. Intriguing option for a team that's just looking for a body. 194 hitter. Normally, they don't get into the league at corner outfield position. But the walks at least make it interesting. An interesting discussion. Don Durham, a righty reliever a starter 6. Slams the door on righties, vulnerable to lefties a little bit. I'd actually like to use him in the bullpen more than in the rotation, because teams can load up with 6 or 7 lefties. But still, that is really good. This card should get into the league. 4.31 ERA. That's all based on the percentages. Man, I don't know if this division loads up with right-handed hitters. Then this guy would be effective. Sometimes some divisions are more, right-handed dependent. So that's a wrap for those rookies. And let's move into the National League West. National League West. The Dodgers looking to put that World Series team together. They're still not quite there yet. Let's go with the Astros, of course. First, Durker. He'll have a nice little career here with the Astros. Obviously, that 69 card was amazing. This might be the next best card available, though. You're not going to top 69, though. He was a stunning pitcher. Your toy cannon. Yeah, there you go. He can still get on base and hit home runs. Beast Stealer. All right. Definitely one of the toy cannon options. And, yeah, pretty good card. It might be this 72 card for him. They're the only 2 keepers. They're rookies. Bob Fenwick. I'm not really seeing that. And that's it. Wow. If it was just the 2 keepers, you take them. Remember, you can only take 2 guys from every year, and they only really have 2 guys that are good, and these could be it. Durker and Wynn, I'd deal with that. Longer you push them into the future and keep them, it helps the team out. Let's take a look at the Dodgers now. As we get closer to the end of the National League West, the Dodgers. We lamented their lack of power, impeding their progress in the postseason. They went out and traded for Willie Crawford. He'll have a better 1973, so wait for it. Yeah, get the 73 card. Tommy John. Is he on the Dodgers? Yet or still the Chi Sox? So this is his first year with the Dodgers. Only pitches on 3 days rest, but it's a really good card. Yeah, I like this one. I think Claude Osteen has got a card better than one of the other years. Andy Messersmith. This whole team has to make the right moves with the 3 critical members of the rotation. John Osteen. They already have Don Sutton, but the other 3 guys are all up at the same time, so you have to make the right moves here. So let's say it is John. Then it would only be one of these 2 guys, Messersmith and Osteen. And for Messersmith, he's always good in this timeline. He also can't pitch on 3 days rest, and this is just an okay card for him. Great card for most pitchers. Okay card for this guy. Claude Osteen, that's pretty good right there. You got to go with this one. And plus, he's an older pitcher. He's older than the other 2 guys. So the idea that you're pushing him up from 1969 all the way to 72, it's a 3-year contract. And then you don't have to worry about Claude Osteen at all. He's not going to get replaced or improved. That's the best you're going to get at this point of his career. So you could do Osteen and John, and then start building the hitting part of your team in the future. So now we have to look at the rookies, and we're going to start seeing some familiar Dodger faces from the 70s here. Lee Lacy at second base. Probably got the first attempt before Lopes. They probably said, let's try this guy. And he's okay. Nothing spectacular. A workable card, 259. Mike Strahler. Nothing really going on here. 326. All right, Steve Yeager. Starting to see some names we know from the late 70s. It'll be interesting to see what his arm is. This could be -3 or to +2, depending on the short sample size of a rookie. Who knows? But that will ultimately determine whether it gets in. Plenty of stick for Yeager. One of his better years. He actually 274. I don't think he does this again. In a small sample size, plus the walks and the power. Gosh, if he would have done this his whole career, that would have been amazing for the Dodgers. You could get him in and cross your fingers that he's got a good throwing arm. So there you are. Those are the Dodgers. Looking very good. Definitely looking like they are putting together a World Series team by 1974. It's waiting for Garvey, Lopes, and Say to have their breakout years, and they're coming for those 3 players. All right, the Padres. Their keepers, well, they don't have any. Turns out all the guys that are keepers have better years, or in 70, 70, and 71. And these are all rookies, so they're getting younger by this era. Mike Caldwell, nice player. Erie's a little high. You know he does very well later in the decade with the Brewers. A very young Jerry Morales. Again, probably too young for Jerry Morales. He does some nice stuff with the Cubs later in the decade. They already have Dave Roberts as a lefty pitcher, but there's another gentleman named Dave Roberts who was an infielder, catcher, utility player, and that's this guy. Look at the you missed that, but catching is right in the middle of the middle infield stuff. So that kind of versatility would be pretty nice to have. And the stick's pretty decent. 261 hitter or something like that, right? 244. But he's pretty good against lefties at least. With power both ways as a middle infielder. Yeah, that's a nice versatile card to get in the league. Always looking to fill out a roster. A good utility player. Mickey Scott, always looking for left-handed pitching. And he's not horrible against right-handed batters, which is nice. He's actually better than against lefties. You know, let's just say if this guy was a right-handed pitcher, you wouldn't like him. But as a lefty, he'll probably get in the league. 274 ERA, it's only 23 innings though. And then when you look at the walks, hits, and homers, on sample size, it's going to be hard to get to 274 ERA to replicate, but that's a nice little card. He'll get in the league. So, youth is the theme in San Diego. We talked about how they put a nice offense together, which is weird because in '69 they had good pitching and a terrible offense, and then boom, everything kind of fell into place in '70 and '71, and they could hit. You know, Tito Gaston and Nate Colbert and Ollie Brown, guys like that. All right, final team, the Giants. Tito Fuentes. Yeah, we have a good 71 option and also a very good 72 option for him. Switch hitting full-time second baseman now, so they'd have to kick their current second baseman, Ron Hunt, to third, or perhaps even trade him. We like the 71 Marichal, but it's good to know what happens to him a year later. Still viable. I know the record is bad, but the Giants start to get old all at once. And here we go again. McCovey now is just, yeah, a slugger who doesn't get on enough. 243, 213. That looked like 243 when I first looked at it, but not really. And Sam McDowell, they're even starting to lose this trade with Gaylord Perry, as Perry is an all-star, and McDowell is just kind of ordinary through this period. Still a Giant, though. But Fuentes looks good. And their rookies, or the young guys, Jim Barr, hello. Wow. There you go. They never really had to look far for good starting pitching, did San Francisco. They had it here in this era. This guy's very good. 287, doesn't pitch on 3 days rest. But he's going to get in the league sooner or later. You might as well bring him in now. Starter 8, oh yeah, get him in the league. I like him. Ed Goodson. Wow, there you go for a first baseman. Jeez, you know eventually you want to get McCovey out of the league by 72 and Goodson into the game, at least in a platoon against righties. That's very good. And a 13 homer there, and a 13 hit there, and a B hit and runner. I don't know what the defense is going to be. Heck, even against lefties, you don't mind leaving him for a nice homer chance. This high percentage you see there, that prevents him from being a 300 hitter because the batting average is really low here. That's a pretty cool card for Ed Goodson. He would also play third base, and he actually has a good 73 and 74. Then it doesn't go beyond that. Jim Howarth. Not really seeing that too much. Lefty with power is okay. Okay, 235 hitter. All right, here we go, folks. Gary Maddox, and next year it'll be Gary Matthews. Both the Garys come up through the Giant system. And as a very, very young guy here, you can see like, wow, this guy's going to be a star eventually. You know, 266, 458. The range you see is not quite Gary Maddox material yet. He becomes a Gold Glove center fielder. Does it all with the Phillies. Have to wonder what would have happened if the Giants would just held on to this guy. Not sure what we're going to do. Have him play for the Giants for a few years before we get him to Philadelphia. I'm not sure how to play it out yet. Bernie Moffitt's got a checkered career. He's got some magnificent years and then really bad ones too. He's good against righties here, the 368 ERA. I can't have him in the league with that vulnerability against lefties, though. Unless he slammed the door completely against righties, but he's good. Doesn't slam the door, and that's just too many on base against lefties. Left-handed hitting catcher with power. I'd like to know what his arm is. We'll find that out, and that ultimately will determine whether it gets in or not. Oh, I don't like that 1 or 2 fly ball arrest. This is like a 2. Oh, look at the percentage. It's probably like a 210 hitter. 259. That's 25%. That's relatively high for a lefty. Well, I guess he gets enough hits against lefties. I don't quite see the batting average getting up to 259. I guess maybe I'm not evaluating the percentage properly, but that seems like a lot of at-bats against lefties. Just stink. Well, Giants and the Padres are looking to the future more. The Dodgers obviously had the best options in that division. And now all we have left to do is look at waivers, retires, and these of course are players who haven't been in the league yet. Let's take a quick peek at waivers and then we'll call it for tonight. A guy was placed on waivers in '69, so 3 years later, it's doubtful he's still going to be a really good player. Kurt Blefary, I don't see that. Tom Griffin, though, was put on waivers because he was brought up too soon, so he might actually be good here, and he's okay. Nothing amazing. Sonny Jackson, transitioning from short into center. Nothing really going on, really. Frank Lindsay already gets righties out of the bullpen. That's good. Don't like that at all, but he's sort of in the same predicament with Randy Moffett, I believe, right? Not dominant enough against righties and vulnerable against lefties. Dal Canton as a starter. Okay. 3.41 ERA. Gary Ross. I like this guy as a reliever because he doesn't have homers. 2.45, yeah. And a relief 4. Yeah, this card should get into the league. You get him now, and then in 72, and then by 76, he can go into the rotation on 3 days rest. And he's pretty good in 76. So this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be an 8-year player using 2 cards. This one and the 76 card. So this will be an interesting, see who gets this guy. Play it smartly. Dave Marshall, better than we've seen in the past. He's got walks, so we'll bring the batting average up to 250 here. Sid O'Brien, no, I've never really seen a good card for him either. 196. Norm Miller, oh, we can hit some homers now. He got into the league last year without much power, and here he is again on waivers. He's got power though, and 100 at bats as a pinch hitter. Yeah. Tommy Reynolds, nah, he was with the Dodgers, and it's not very good. Jerry May, nope. Joel Horlan, oh, that's a nice card. Nice relief starter, really good. No homers, no walks, really. ERA 2.40, ERA 3. Will probably pitch to an ERA better than that. That's a nice. This card will get in the league. Somebody will go and find him in the waiver pile. You can really hide guys in the waiver pile because teams are more concerned with their keepers and their rookies, and then a team will like sneak into the waiver pile and find a diamond. You know, I mean that's better than a lot of the keepers we've seen. Really, that is a solid long guy. Pat Corrales. Not no longer. He had a nice stick for a bit. Jim Beauchamp, he of the perennial +5 arm. I don't know what that's all about. Probably should have been an America Leaguer. DH. Nice stick against lefties in a platoon. So these kind of platoons are pretty cheap, pretty easy to find. As a DH, you can find these in the token round of the draft. And then you have Jim Stewart. Rich Morales, Frank Rehberger, Kurt Motton, Lanier. None of these guys are particularly that exciting, so we're going to do a wrap here and call it. Thanks for checking out the video. We'll see you next time.